Welcome to our show. I'm Susan Howington, the Family Consumer Science Agent with the Henry County Extension and University of Georgia. Today we're going to be talking about the herb spinach bake, and we're going to talk about some nutritional information about spinach. Not only that, but we're going to hear from Frank Hancock, our Agriculture and Natural Resource Agent, and he's going to be talking to us about the spring gardening, and he's also going to have the chance to taste this wonderful herb-baked spinach. Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the herb spinach bake, and we're going to talk a little bit about spinach. And I want to make sure that we know a little bit more about spinach and the benefits from it as far as when we cook it or eat it at raw, whatever you like as far as spinach goes. Would you like to hear that it's fat-free? It's saturated fat-free. Not only that, but it has vitamin A, C, and B in it. And it's a great source of magnesium. It is a great source of all the things that I mentioned, but it also helps prevent from osteoporosis, which is something that we all need to worry about as we get older because it is a great source of calcium. It is also a great source for our eyes. It has a little secret weapon in it called lutein. It helps us, hopefully, if we eat a lot of spinach, to keep us from getting cataracts. So when we're selecting our spinach at the grocery store or at a farmer's market, wherever you're looking for fresh spinach, make sure that you look at the spinach to make sure it looks crisp and it looks fresh and you don't see any yellowing of the leaves. And if you see all that, then you're buying some good spinach for you to take home and get ready for it. And when you're getting ready for it, you want to take it home and then you want to store it in your refrigerator. And the best way to store your spinach is to wash it under running water to make sure you loosen any particles that may be on it. And then once you do that, you can wrap it in a paper towel that is damp and put it into a Ziploc bag. And that will keep in your refrigerator around 3 to 5 days. Now, if you want to go a little bit further with it, you can mix a salty water with it and put your spinach in it and wash it, and that will take any other particles maybe that didn't come off the running water part of it. So when you're looking at the labels of your different products that you're buying out there, whether it's a fruit or a vegetable, see what you're buying because you can find all kind of neat things out about that label to see exactly what you're buying to make sure it is a best nutritional for your body and hopefully to keep you fit as you get older. We're going to come back in just a little bit and we're going to do the herb spinach bake.
Okay, we're continuing our discussion of spinach here, and we're looking at our fall crop. Fall is the best time to plant spinach. You get a longer season out of it, but you can plant spinach right now in your garden, and you can have it right on up until the days get long and the temperatures get hot. Then it's going to bolt and go to seed, and it'll be gone. But you can grow a pretty good crop of spinach if you plant it right now. This spinach has been here. The cold weather has kind of hit it a little bit, but it will continue to grow right on through the cold weather. And it's not in as good a shape as it was for a couple of reasons. The gardeners have been out here picking it and eating it, and plus the cold weather has been jumping on it a little bit. So, but you can grow some spinach in your garden right now. And like I say, it does like the cold weather. If you plant it now in the springtime, sometimes you can plant it next to your corn or somewhere so it gets a little bit of shade from the hot afternoon sun, and that will make it go a little bit longer before it tries to bolt and go to seed. Spinach is not the only thing that you can be growing right now. You can get your radishes and your onions and your carrots, and all of those things are ready to be planted in your garden now. If you don't have a garden spot already picked out, now's a good time to start planting for your garden. And one of the things that you want to do in planting your garden is do a soil test. And we'll talk a little bit now about soil test. I'm gonna go down here to one of these beds that's being prepared for a spring garden, and we'll do a soil test out of it, kind of show you how to do that and tell you a little bit about what the results are going to tell you when you get it back. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to take a soil sample. I want to show you how to do a soil sample. I would prefer that you do it in the fall because that gives you enough time. If you need to add lime, gives enough time for the lime to dissolve and change the pH of the soil where you want it to be. But if you haven't done it in the fall, do it now, because I get a lot of calls every year from people who want to know what to put on their garden. And I have to guess just like they do when I don't have a soil sample to go by. So do a soil sample. It costs $8, takes about 10 days to get the results back. You bring it into the extension office with a check or cash, and we'll get it on its way so we can get the results back, and then we'll interpret what it says if you need for us to. So a couple of different ways you do soil samples. This is a soil probe. With a soil probe, you can go down into the ground and pull a plug out. Then you can take that plug and put it directly into the bag and test that way. If you're doing a pasture or something, this is probably a simpler way to go do it. But in a garden plot, what most of us will wind up doing is using a little trowel, and we'll go in down about 4 to 6 inches deep. We'll take out a little plug and we'll put it in a bucket. Then we'll move around the garden about 10 different places, and we'll pull it out a little plug and we'll put it in the bucket. And after we've done all of that, we're going to take that sample and we're going to mix it all together in the bucket so that we get a uniform picture of what this garden plot looks like. We don't want to go to the worst place and take all the samples, or the best place, because that would skew your results. If you went strictly to the worst place in the garden, it may tell you need 2 tons of lime, when in reality you don't need that much. So we want a uniform picture of what the garden looks like. Then we'll get a soil sample bag, or in a lot of cases, you just put it in a Ziploc bag. I need about a cup or a cup and a half of dirt to put in this bag. And so we'll fill this soil sample bag up. And it has a line on the bag here where we fill it up to. I get a lot of people bring me soil samples in, and they're trying to skimp on their dirt. And so they don't bring me enough, and I have to send them back home to go get me some more dirt. So I'd rather have a little bit too much. And in fact, if you bring me too much, I got a little garden spot out back. If you got good soil, I'll go pour that out there in my garden spot behind the building. But anyway, you write your name and address, what crop you're growing, you bring that in. The instructions of how to make a soil sample are on the back. When you get your results back, it's going to tell you about phosphorus and potassium and some of your trace minerals. It's going to make a general recommendation on nitrogen, because nitrogen is a fairly volatile. It goes back into the atmosphere. It also leaches into the soil below where the plants can get. So the nitrogen recommendation is a general recommendation for the crop that you're growing. Other things like sulfur as a plant nutrient is kind of like nitrogen, a little volatile. It doesn't stay around a long time, so it will make a general recommendation on sulfur. It will also tell you to add a little bit of borax for boron that some plants need, especially like spinach is a user of boron. Spinach is also a heavy feeder, so it requires a good bit of fertilizer. But that's the general idea of the soil sample, and you need to go do one right now.
Welcome back. We're going to talk now about the herb spinach bake, and I'm going to tell you step by step how to put it together, and then we're going to bake it, and you'll get a chance to see exactly what it looks like once it's baked. So let's talk about the ingredients, what's in this herb spinach bake. First of all, we have spinach, and you can see here that I've already have the spinach ready to go, And in this recipe, the spinach can be frozen or it can be fresh. Now what I did is I took a 16-ounce bag of fresh spinach. And so I'm into really using fresh spinach. And so I took the fresh spinach, and what I did is I chopped it up. And it's real easy to do. It didn't take me long at all to do that 16-ounce bag of spinach. So what you're going to do is you're just going to chop it up. And I just chopped as much as I could to get it to really fine area. And so it's up to you on how fine you want it, because once you cook your spinach, it's going to cook down even more. And you know, we talk about our healthy part of spinach. Well, it's also a cousin to our turnip greens and also our collards. And a lot of people think just because we're eating those to start off our January and kick our year off, but we should be eating these all year round. So, because they are a great source of nutrients for our body. So something in this range is what I'm looking for as far as the chopping of the spinach. And once you do that, then I took this and put it into a skillet, and I just stir fried it until it cooked down is what you're seeing now. Now that's a 16-ounce bag. So a 16-ounce bag, once you cook it, is going to cook down to about 2 cups of spinach. So you can see that this is about 2 cups of spinach cooked. Now in this recipe, I'm just going to move this to the side because I do want to show you another thing that we are going to have to chop up. But that's what you're looking for, something in that range as far as chopping up your spinach. Also, you're going to need about 2 cups of cooked rice. And I chose, now the recipe is going to tell you brown rice, and that's what we really eat in my family now is the brown rice, because you're going to get more nutrients from it. Now if you don't like brown rice, you can go with white rice, but I went with brown rice. That's about 2 cups of rice here. And then for the cheese, it is going to be 3/4 of a cup of reduced fat cheese. So this is the shredded cheese that we're going to be using. Also in this, we're going to have some milk, which this is, in my recipe, you will see later on the website, will tell you low-fat milk, but I went straight to the best. I went skim milk, so you will see that this is going to be less as far as calories. So you can choose your milk that you want, but as far as the milk goes, the lesser fat, the better the casserole is going to be as far as less fat. And then also, I used a little bit of our tub margarine, and this is only 1/4 of a cup, so we're going to be using that. And then we also have thyme, which is great to put in a lot of different recipes. It is a great herb. And then we're going to use a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. And then I'm going to go ahead and chop up the onion. And all we need of the onion is 1/4 of a cup. So you can imagine 1/4 of a cup is pretty small as far as that. If you're really into onion and you want more, it's not going to hurt you as far as using less onion or more onion. It depends on you, what you really like. I'm just going to wipe this knife off just to get some of the spinach off of it. And I'm going to cut just a little part of the onion off because it's not going to take that much. Once you chop your onion, it becomes a lot more than you realize. So I'm just going to chop a little bit of the onion to get it ready. And it will chop up. I'm going to chop it up kind of fine. And once I get it to the stage that I need it to, I will also chop it up a little bit more. Depending on what you like to eat, I like my onion really, really fine. My son likes onion, but it has to be chopped up fine for him to like it in the recipe. So I'm going to chop it a little bit more just to get what we need for the recipe. And you know what I like to think about when we're doing our recipes is changing them also to fit the needs of your taste and your family. So, you know, once you see something, that's the neat things about recipes. You can make it where it's less fat, and you can make it to where it is suitable for everybody and their taste and your family. So this is going to be about what I need for the recipe. And you can see I'm just going to add it to the 1/4 cup. And that's about all you need. So as you can see, that wasn't a whole lot just to chop up from the onion. So what we're going to do is put this all together. So I'm going to take the spinach, which is about 2 cups. I'm going to put this in first. Then I'm going to add the rice. I'm going to mix the rice and the spinach up a little bit. And you know, you can cook rice ahead of time and you can freeze it. And then when you're ready to do different things with it, it's ready to go. And you can do it in cup or 2-cup increments in a Ziploc bag. And that way you're ready to go whenever you want to make something really quick, especially for us at work. It's a great way to speed things up once you get to your house. All right, so now we're going to take the cheese, which I mentioned is 3/4 cup, and it's the low fat. Now at home we use the fat-free, but I did today use just the low fat. So we're just going to mix that part up. And once we mix that up, I'm going to add the margarine, which is 1/4 cup of tub margarine. So it's not the stick, it's in the tub. We're just going to mix this around. This is going to just kind of combine it and keep its form. We want to make sure we mix it all the way through as far as the margarine goes. And then once we get the margarine all mixed in, we're going to add just a little bit of taste to it from the Worcestershire sauce. And it's 1 teaspoon of it. And then we're going to go ahead and add the thyme, which is 1 teaspoon also. And we talked about spinach, but you know, spinach is great, not just in casseroles, but you can do a lot of things with spinach, like salads. But you know, spinach can go great once you've cooked it into a soup. Then you're going to add something even more nutritional to that soup that you're making. So chicken noodle soup, to add a little bit of green to it, you could add spinach to it, and it would be a great nutritional powerhouse to your soup. We're going to also add our milk, which is 2/3 cup of milk. And remember, I use skim milk. And then we're going to also add our onions, which is 1/4 cup. We're going to mix this around. Make sure it's mixed well. And believe it or not, once it starts baking, the milk will combine really well and with the spinach and the rice. Okay, it's all stirred together now, and we're going to put it into a 13x9 casserole dish. And I've already sprayed the 13x9 casserole dish, and this is just easy cleanup for me because I like easy cleanup. So we're going to go ahead and pour it into the casserole dish. And the good thing about this, it combines really well once it's baking. So you can get all the good taste of that spinach throughout the rice and the cheese. So we're going to just spread it out in the casserole dish. So it's kind of evening out. And then once we have that like we want it, I'm just going to take my knife and just get most of it off my spoon, because I want all of it in my casserole dish. And then once you have it in your casserole dish, you're going to cover it. So we're going to cover it now with foil. And then you're going to let it bake for 20 minutes with the foil. And then once it's baked for 20 minutes, you'll take the foil off and let it bake another 5 minutes with no foil on it. So what we're going to do is we'll put this in and we're going to bake it. And then when we come back, we're going to have Frank Hancock come and talk to us a little bit and taste this herb spinach bake. Welcome back. We have Frank Hancock with us to taste the herb spinach bake. So Frank, let's taste it.
My specialty, tasting things.
So you said, tell me what you think. I'm going to also taste it because I want to know what you think about it just as much. So I'm going to taste it also. So what do you think?
It's good. You know, if Pop had had that kind of spinach, he'd have probably grown taller.
That's right. And we talked about all that powerhouse spinach.
That's right.
And so this
gives a new meaning to eat your spinach.
All right. So when you're at the grocery store, make sure spinach is on your list. Go to the website on your screen to download this recipe, Herb Spinach Bake.